It's a good idea to clear in a time of what is a possible pandemic to clear up some misunderstandings about viruses themselves. There are many, obviously, there's a lot of information and misinformation going around about the coronavirus at the moment, and even if I observe and listen to some of the doctors or scientists explain it, they're not explaining the virus very well indeed at all. The first thing to understand about a virus is it doesn't want to kill its host. The last thing it wants to do is kill the host. And therefore, what happens with such things as virus, like the Spanish flu or it's a flu type of virus, is it will try to mutate so it can live within the host. So therefore, there's a limited amount of people that will die through coronavirus. It might be, I don't know what that number will be, but they're limited. Then the virus will mutate and be able to live within the society of humans, which is adapted to. There's a lot of misconceptions also out there about why among scientists as well and doctors it would appear that why these viruses go from one being or one mammal to another, or one animal to another. And it's a little bit complicated, but bear with me, I'll try to explain it. In the DNA, all beings, living beings, have a coincidental DNA. Excuse me. They have a coincidental DNA, but along the DNA chain, the higher the development of the being or the species, the more complex the DNA is and the longer the chain is, one assumes. Now, what happens is, say the coronavirus was said to come from a bat. Well, we have got coincidental DNA with bats. And the bats, there's a limit there. The same as a mad cow disease. We have a coincidental DNA with cows, or with any animal. With worms or with big bacteria. We have a coincidental DNA at some level, and that's where the virus crosses over at that level of the DNA. A virus is an energy package, and it lives on a frequency, and its frequency then is near enough. Its frequency is near enough to the frequency within the DNA at that level of DNA that's coincidental between species, like between bats, for instance, and humans. There's a coincidental level of DNA and a coincidental frequency, or near enough to frequency for that virus to attach itself to another being, such as a human. When it finds a frequency within the human, is similar or near enough for the virus, which mutates and adapts very quickly, can then adapt itself to the frequency within that part of the DNA that is coincidental to the bat. And it's something that I don't think is explained very well by science and to the general public, but I've been trying to do this for many years, and actually two scientists who are trying to defend the mad cow disease, but that's by the by. And the thing is, there's many aspects of this coronavirus that need to be taken into consideration to help reduce the spread of it. Is to stay away from people in the areas where it's happening as much as possible, and where there are planes, taxis, buses, train carriages, etc., that have had this virus, people carrying this virus on, those vehicles, those transport systems, must be taken out of service for such a time that then allows the virus lives outside the body for 5 days. They must be taken outside the service and outside of the system for long enough for then that virus to die. And that's one way the quicker they get onto this, the quicker and the more they attack this in all the ways they can, the more they will limit the spread of this virus. And it's an economic concern as well, of course. It could destroy the world's economy because of mass fear and whatever. But it's better off having a short time of governments all coming together, and they've got the finances, the people, there's enough finance in the world to make sure that people are safe and secure on a minimal amount of food or whatever, and rather deal with this and close the place down as much as possible for a short period, rather than have it drag on for the time and duration, like the Spanish flu. I don't know how much time that takes, but there is a time duration of all these things that it takes between its first mutation, the different species, to then developing its ability not to kill the host, because that's what the virus and bacteria even, they don't want to kill the host. They do, bacteria, but they don't want to kill the host. It's not like the bacteria is not making the human the enemy and attacking it. It wants to adapt and spread its ability to exist in a further greater amount of field, so that it can exist in a greater abundance. And that's what it does. It's a very basic particle of life itself, and it's very interesting. But there's many interesting questions surrounding viruses, and we can ask all sorts of questions in regards to evolution. Are viruses the cause of some mutations? I mean, the environmental background, that climatic or whatever, all can cause an effect on viruses, because they're the smallest things, and they act the quickest. They mutate the fastest. And if that is within attacks the DNA of the species, then maybe that causes some parts of the species to die out, the ones that do not build up the resistance or the virus cannot adapt to, they will die out, and the other part, the ones what move on and adapt, they move on and then carry on and spread their genetic line further on and grow and multiply. Maybe they've mutated according to the demands of the virus, which is a very interesting concept. No matter how big we are, the very smallest thing dictates our future, and that's interesting. And it certainly puts the fear of climate change in true perspective. Because the fear of climate change is a created fear. The fear of a virus and dying is a real fear. And the fact is, there is enough money in the world to slow this system down for a very short period of time to then get the control of this and control the spread. And anyway, it's up to look after yourselves. That's all I can say. But that's basically how viruses spread from across the DNA, the coincidental DNA between, say, bats and humans, which are there, and it allows that to the frequency within the DNA, and the frequency that the virus has, this particle of energy, is as a frequency, and attaches itself to the DNA or the cellular part that it's harmonious to, and that then it's created a slightly different harmony, if you like, or frequency to attach itself to a new species, which is human. But that's it. So that's as simple as that, really. Anyway, I just thought I'd spread that out, and look after yourselves and keep your mouth covered and your eyes covered. Like that. Bye.